Hello and welcome back to the WABAN podcast. I am your host, Nim, and I am joined by the other host, the weird guy that you had a blind date with that one time that you'd like to forget, the goodest boy.
Hey. It's a fancy meeting you here.
Yes, it's what a coincidence, that you happened to go on a date with literally every single person who's listening to this right now.
So, okay, just quick question. You didn't tell me they were going to be here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's awkward.
Yeah, man, you should have warned me.
Well, it happens. We're here. Let's move on.
All right.
Today on the WABAN podcast, we have a nice little full schedule of two things to talk about. Do you want to? We know the big thing. So the big thing is we're going to talk about Avatar, the Last Airbender, the movie made from Avatar,
The live action.
Monstrosity.
Yep, train wreck.
Right. So we're going to talk about that because we're going to do like little movie discussions every other week or so. And we also have another topic that you have sort of pulled up. So do you want to discuss that a little bit?
Okay, well, so I'm a big fan of Game Grumps, right? Mm-hmm. And recently, just watching a video, which
Sorry.
So, I'm watching a video of Game Grumps, right? And I'm reading through the comments, and one of the comments that I find is, I think it was something along the lines of, oh, here it is. Please don't tell me the last Game Grumps video will be titled Aaron Requests a Nappy Change, because that's what the title of the video was, because it was some weird joke they were getting on, but it, why would that be the last video?
Mm-hmm.
So I went
to investigate.
Yeah, and apparently there was this whole lawsuit thing, which was utter crap, but I don't want to get into that because it's a much more interesting subject of this is the subreddit that I found called r/rantgrumps, which, I don't know, hate anybody you want, but this is going too far, because it's not just these guys aren't funny and they shouldn't be doing a show or any other reason that the internet could come up with to hate someone. It's like they are going out of their way to look for evidence to try to ruin these guys. It's way too extreme for anything that you should be doing to anybody.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking through it now. So what are some of the things that they go on about here? Is it just pretty much random, or is there more specific
It seems to be random. I think some of it's less less serious than others. But, a lawsuit came out of this subreddit. So it's not all just minor little things that they just are joking about. Some of these people are actually going after them. Which is, why? Why do you spend so much time on this? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm reading through some of this. So there's I don't know if I want to get into this part of it, but there's definitely stuff with sexual assault allegations and stuff, I think.
Yeah.
Which,
and
I'm guessing, are they not? Are they is there no actual evidence for that? Is that the whole thing?
I highly doubt it, because I've watched them for a long time, and I of course, it's through a show, so I don't know them personally, but they seem like good guys. And
Mm-hmm.
anything that I look up on here doesn't seem to give any evidence at all.
Okay.
Not to mention the fact that the day after I discovered, that lawsuit that led me to this subreddit, it was already cleared up and it was already proven to be a complete hoax.
Yeah.
And it's...
Well, because that's what most of these things on the subreddit I'm seeing are about that. So it's like...
Well, yeah, apparently it was Apparently this subreddit, it's been going on a lot longer than that. But, I only heard about it one day, and the next day it was basically gone and people making jokes about it.
Okay. Huh.
But I'm just baffled by the existence of a group of people that aren't just like, jokingly or just getting out their anger on these two guys. They are very attack oriented with this.
Well, I mean, do you think a lot of these people actually believe these allegations, though?
That's the problem I'm having.
'Cause, I mean...
I don't know.
Right, because I can understand trying to go after them if you believe that it's true, because that makes sense.
Well, yeah.
If you think that actually happened, you're going to be like, yeah, these guys are kind of terrible. But yeah,
the thing is, I'm with anything about this, whether no matter what kind of thing it is, I'm very much on the side of go to the defense of the victim. Do not attack the, harasser or the accused. You know what I mean? It's much more helpful and better to make sure that the person doesn't have it happen to them again than it is to, go and attack and try to ruin the person who's doing it.
Right.
Because then it's just like, you're not doing it to help someone, you're doing it so you are allowed to hurt someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But in this situation, it's very much just like, why do you guys hate these guys so much? They're just two guys doing a show and making jokes at each other.
Well, I mean, I think you also have to come down to the fact that no matter what, anyone who has a certain level of success is going to have a large portion of people hating them for no real reason, arbitrarily, just kind of hating them because they're famous or just because whatever. Because I mean, there's probably hate subreddits for a lot of famous people,
Well, true, but
there's
still to this extent, it's
right to the point where there was a real lawsuit that came out of it, which is kind of crazy. But so I guess whatever happened with that lawsuit, all the evidence and stuff was false, or
I didn't read into it very much because it was just I just wanted to dismiss it because it just, this isn't my thing. I don't know if this is true. I highly doubt it's true, but come on.
You definitely hope it's not true.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah. Well, it is interesting. Yeah, I never watched Game Grumps, so I don't.
They're very
don't keep
funny.
Up with stuff like this. Yeah. You've told me.
I've mentioned to you before. They have a very unique structure of how they do their show.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like a podcast with two dudes like us, like we're doing right now. But they have a game to supplement their comedy and conversation.
Right,
and sometimes the gameplay is the forefront and everything is related to it. Sometimes they pushed into the background and it's just something to watch while you listen to them talk.
Yeah.
But it's a very very good setup for their show.
Yeah, works well with them.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah,
I guess that's all I wanted to say on that.
All right. Very, very interesting. So, start off with a very, start off with our very, very serious stuff here. So, I guess we can then move on into the movie discussion, unless there's any other big things to talk about.
Not that I know of. That's the only bit of news that I
You haven't been
up on.
You haven't been up to anything interesting recently?
Not really. I mean, I have like a stress management class for college that's part of my like health gen ed.
That's
and
good.
So that's been, it's weird because we don't meet online, but so it's just like worksheets and tests and quizzes.
Right. So it's
online.
Like asynchronous, yeah.
Yeah. But, it's asks you all these questions and blah, blah, blah to try to get you to change to manage stress.
Right.
So there's like changes in eating and exercise and all that. And I'm just like, I don't do any of this stuff.
I'm in college. Do you really think I'm going to watch my diet? Yeah.
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 I mean, it did kind of motivate me to change a few things. Like, I don't know, maybe I'll start eating breakfast now. And half an apple a day, maybe.
Yeah, I will
or
say
some light exercise.
I typically do eat breakfast, and let me tell you, it's nice to eat breakfast. I like eating breakfast.
I hate eating breakfast because I stopped eating breakfast when I went off to college and moved away into a dorm or an apartment. But when I tried to start eating breakfast again, I just didn't have an appetite for it. And by the time I would get halfway through one breakfast sandwich, I was just I don't want to eat anymore. I don't care what it is, just no.
Yeah. See, that's the thing is I'm the type of person who's I pretty much have an appetite to eat almost any time of the day, no matter what. So
yeah, you're a big manly man over 6 feet and
right.
You thick.
Yeah. I'm dummy thick over here.
Yeah. But I'm over here with a height to width ratio of I don't know. I'm skinny is what I'm trying to say.
Right. You're not necessarily short, just
oh no,
skinny.
I'm taller than I wish to be, but very skinny. I'm a twink, basically. I will admit it. Okay, can we talk about that?
Sure.
I know twink as a body type, but I've also heard it as specifically gay guy.
It is specifically gay. It's
Is it?
Yeah, it's the body type you're imagining, which is more skinny, smaller.
Yeah.
But as gay, it's more of used as a sexual term, I think, by gay people. It's you're a twink. So I guess technically you would not be a twink.
So I have the body type of one.
Right, you have the body type of a twink, but you're straight. So
yeah.
I don't know if I feel like straight people don't have names like that. There's a lot of terms like that, I guess, with the gay community, stuff like that, where it's twink, and I don't know the other ones, but I know there's other ones for larger men. There's other ones for
I know a large hairy man is a bear.
That's what it is. Yeah. Which makes sense,
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Why don't we have anything like that with the straight people?
I don't know, but I could never get a straight answer on whether it was specifically skinny gay men or if it was just skinny guys. We could never get an answer.
It's basically I'm pretty sure it's basically gay guys, and it's it's a submissive thing too. There's a sexual aspect to it as well. So from what I know, but yeah. So
all right.
What an interesting, two straight guys talking about gay culture. Great idea.
Yeah, might get some hate for that, but whatever. We
Great
don't
idea.
know what we're talking about.
Don't worry. Yeah,
I'm
there we
willing
go.
to learn.
There's our disclosure. We don't actually know what we're talking about. This is just from what we've heard.
I asked with the intention to learn, not to be criticized.
Right. Yeah. So there you go. So what you're saying is you are the straight version of a twink, which I don't know. We don't have a word for it. I guess it's just.
I'm scrawny. String bean?
Maybe. But that doesn't
bean
really.
Pole.
Were we coming up with new terms now? Just kind of like.
I'm just rambling at this point.
Yeah, I mean this is the rambling podcast after all. I still made any of those logos, you know.
Gotta get on that. What am I paying you for?
Yeah, you're paying me so much. That'd be great if we were actually getting paid for this.
I mean, you said that there was a way to do it, but like
set up an advertisement thing, but like when you have
if we don't have enough viewers, it's not gonna happen.
When you have on average 2 listens per episode, you know, you get kind of.
Is that what it's coming out to be?
I don't know. It's like maybe 3 or 4 or 5 on the first one. The second one is like maybe 2, I think.
We're probably still in single digits total, aren't we?
Yeah. I don't think like in total, and that's counting up the views from YouTube and from Anchor. So it's yeah. So we're very, very, very itty bitty podcast. That's all I'm going to say.
Itty bitty.
Yes.
Good word.
Yes.
I like the cadence of it. Itty bitty.
Itty bitty. Making fitty.
What was the meme that I told you before? That was along that.
I don't know. I remember not. I never remember things. So
it was like, "Oh, lesbian of the lake, what is your wisdom?" And I think the response was, "Suck titties, pet kitty, suck titties, spend fitties."
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah. That's what it was.
I very much enjoy
spending fitties. Yeah.
I have a ton of well, no, I have very few memes on my phone, but they're all very high quality.
Yeah. You only take the high quality memes.
Okay, I have actually found, because when I was talking about this with you last time, I was looking through the images on my phone, and I found something that I remember why I downloaded it. It's an image of one of those color blindness tests things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm colorblind, so I have no idea what it is. But I just have it downloaded so that anytime me being colorblind comes up, I can just show someone this and be like, that's what it is. I can't see whatever is there. I don't know if you see it, but that's what colorblindness is. Because it is so annoying having to explain to people what being colorblind is like.
Yeah.
It's not very different. It's just, you can't see some things, or some colors don't look different to you.
Right.
Very minor change for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely probably different levels of it too, like different.
Well, yeah, but
some people it's worse, or like different.
Most commonly, it's very minor.
Well, yeah, most commonly it's so minor that it's like doesn't really affect your day-to-day life that much.
Are you colorblind?
No. But I'm just knowing from like what I know, because like I know some other people who are as well and stuff. So I've heard what it's like.
I know a good number of guys are colorblind, because it has something to do with like the gender chromosomes.
Interesting.
And because females have 2 of the same, even if they have one that has the defect that causes color blindness, if the other one doesn't have it, their body will just use the better one, so they won't be colorblind.
So women are less likely to be colorblind?
Yeah, very much so.
I did not know that. That is interesting.
Yeah.
Look at that. Little science lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Man, gotta love that. All right, so
Movie?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's time to tackle the big boy, the big topic for today. So this is like, I guess probably not the first time you've seen it. You may have seen it like a long time ago when you were younger.
The second time I've seen it, but
like you didn't remember it.
The first.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll let you go first. Say something.
All right. So first thing I noticed, it opens up with like the like a live action reenactment of like the animated always opens up with the little, the bending goes through, and then there's a long
water,
speech.
Earth,
fire,
air. Yeah.
However, I noticed, first of all, the long speech was very much like a bootlegged version of the actual speech in the animated.
Well, it was like just text on screen and then her just kind of reading text on screen. It wasn't like in the show, there's like you have visuals to go along with it. It's more interesting. Like, and then it's like, there's also like, I feel like there's two.
It's rewritten ever so slightly. Like it's not quite the same phrasing. And so it's just generally worse.
Well, also like they almost add too much information too. Like they'll be like, there's like little details, like the intro to the show was pretty simple. Like it was like all the nations lived in harmony until the Fire Nation attacked. There's only one person who can restore balance, and he's the Avatar. He can, but then he vanished 100 years later. Like it's just it gets the basics down right away. Like and then more details you get as you watch the show. But like this one, like it explains even like what the spirit world is and stuff, which like in the show, you don't get an explanation. You don't know anything about the spirit world until like, I don't even know what it is, like episode like 8 or something, 7 or 8 or something like that.
They force a lot of information on you right away.
Right. Which, which like, you got to condense it because, it's an entire season of a show in one movie. So, but like, it's
which is a cause of a lot of problems in the movie.
Right. Well, like I, for the life of me, cannot figure out why they decided to make the movie like how long is it? In like an hour and
like an hour and a half or something like that.
An hour and 40 minutes or something like that. Yeah. Why? Like this is you're already struggling to make the movie by condensing an entire show or entire season of a show into one movie. Why wouldn't you give yourself a little bit more time to work with, like 2.5 hours or like even 3 hours if you really needed to? I mean, I'm glad they didn't, because all the other elements of the movie are so bad that 3 hours of that would have been worse. But if you had
I was kind of bored.
Right, if you had good actors, a good director, and you had it all, like all the other elements were good, adding, an extra hour or so to the movie would have really, improved the pacing a lot. Yeah. You still, like, the thing is, like, they cut out a lot of stuff that was in the show, which is fine. Like, I understand there's a lot of episodes they kind of have to cut. Like, there's the episode about Jet. That's not even in it. That I understand. That's not, it's a good episode, but it's not important. You need to keep, it's a movie. You need to keep the amount of characters like small and simple. Right. So there's no Jet, there's no Boomy, there's no, they don't go to Omashu, things like that. Like they skip a lot of stuff, which is fine. But like still what they did keep in, what they did adapt, which is, the really important parts of the story, was still, even then, it was still going by way too quickly.
Yeah.
and not taking its time. So like it's literally like this happens, then this happens. It's just jumping really quick.
I do want to go back to that first like paragraph of text though, because about like a minute and 30 seconds in, I heard them pronounce avatar, which immediately, like, my body rejected the experience.
Well, that's the other thing too, is like you're making this movie hoping that like fans of the show are gonna like it, right? Like obviously, you know, you make a movie based on a show, it's made partially for fans of the show. So why would you pronounce the names differently? Like, you know that like if somebody's likes the show and is used to the show, they're not gonna like that.
It's so terrible.
Ong, Sokka, Hiro.
Sokka. Yeah. Like, I was thinking, like, this guy's too serious to be Sokka. Like, why is this guy Sokka? And I was like, oh, he's not Sokka, he's Sokka. Okay, great.
Yeah, he's a different character. I'm surprised they didn't say, like, K-Terra or something.
Yeah.
You know? They got that one right. But, like, it's weird because, like, none of the characters have the same personalities they did in the show. In fact, they don't even have personalities.
Yeah, kind of.
They're just there. Like, you could... The weird thing is, like, you could cut Katara and Sokka out of the movie and it wouldn't change a thing. Like they're just kind of there. Which is like, weird because like you can't, there's no way you could do the show without them.
Absolutely not. Yeah, they are integral. There's character development. They help Aang along the way.
Right.
Like, they just, in the movie, they just kind of broke him out of the ice.
They're just kind of there. Yeah.
Sokka, you know, in a very cut out and very short and succinctly stated, you know, started to get along with the princess of the North Water tribe
right away.
And then, no explanation for why. They just said it happened.
Suddenly they were in love. But that's another issue that comes down to the whole like length thing. Like you're cramming so much in such a short amount of time. So like I actually like went through in my head, like I was like, how many episodes of the show did they actually adapt to the movie? Because, you know, technically it's a 20 episode season, but like they didn't adapt every episode. So I was like, okay, so let's get a general idea. They adapted the first 3 episodes basically of the show. They had the Blue Spirit episode. They had they kind of had the imprisoned episode, like the Earth Kingdom prison episode. We'll talk about that scene a little bit more too, because that one's just anyways, they had that. That's like roughly 5 episodes adapted. And then the last like 3 episodes of the season they adapted. So that's a total of about 8-ish episodes adapted into the movie. 8, let's say each episode is about 20 minutes. They're probably like 21, 22,
21 to 25-ish.
Yeah, not including, because not including like credits and like intro and stuff, just including actual. So that's like, let's say 8 times 20, 160. That's how much is that? That's how many minutes is that?
2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah, 2 hours and 40 minutes or so of content. About 2 hours and 40 minutes. I think my earlier calculation was different when I did it before, but basically 2.5 to 3 hours of content somewhere in there, and you condense it down to 1 hour and 40 minutes. Again, add an extra hour on there, it would fix some of the pacing issues. Because one of the big issues with the movie too is like there's constantly something happens, and then the next plot point happens, then the next plot point happens. There's never moments in between. There's no
transition. There's
no transition.
Cut next thing.
Right. And there's no they never take a moment for character building. They never take like something happens. Like there's a scene where stuff happens, and they never take a scene to show like the characters reacting to what just happened, or like here's the aftermath of what just happened. So like I was watching this one video basically that was explaining it like in movies you can have a couple different types of scenes. You can have I don't remember exactly how they described it. This is like, how you could break down a movie. You could break down a movie into like, I guess, I don't remember what they called it, but maybe like action scenes or like, basically a scene where plot is happening, plot scene. I don't remember what they said. Something is happening.
Something very important is happening.
And then then a reactive scene, which is essentially a scene reacting to that. So a lot of times those like action scenes, there will be a scene after kind of that's like a reaction to that scene. Like here's the characters, like Lord of the Rings. They gave an example. Lord of the Rings. There's this. Have you seen Lord of the Rings?
I have not.
Okay, well, you wouldn't get that. I don't know, but basically there's a scene.
I get what you mean, though.
Yeah, a scene where a character like dies and they have this whole like little moment after where they're kind of like remorsing the character's death. That's basically what it is. I'm not going to say anything else. But yeah, and it's essentially so that way you those are the scenes where you really get into the character and get to know the characters. I mean, you can get to know. I mean, you should be able to get to know the characters during all of the scenes, but like those are the moments where you see like how the characters react to things, so you really get to know them more. And apparently the ratio of like the action plot scenes to the reactionary scenes, I don't remember exactly how I described it, was very like not good. Like the reactionary scenes, there was only a couple of those scenes. There was very few.
Yeah.
Compared to so there's just no scenes of like taking some time to get into this moment that you're in,
Yeah, they just kind of shove the next thing your way without leaving you time to process it.
Right. Because like a good comparison is like, so the opening of the movie, it's like, okay, so they get him out of the ice, bring him back to the village. Zuko comes, takes him, they go take him, and then they leave. Like it's like it happens like that. Yes, that does happen in the show, but you also have some time where, Katara is getting to know Aang, and you see Katara and Aang go penguin sledding together. They're like building their friendship.
Yeah, they gave Katara a reason to actually go after Aang.
Right. She actually builds some sort of a good connection with him to where her wanting to go with him makes sense. They build it up. Whereas in this, it just it happens. There's no time to build any sort of relationship with any characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She just arbitrarily decides that Aang is her and Sokka's responsibility and goes after
out of nowhere. And it's like, okay.
Why though?
I think like
develop any relationship.
Maybe their grandma said there was this scene where they were like talking to their grandma. Maybe she said something like that. Oh, and she's the one who explained the
spirit world.
The spirit world. But like not in an interesting way. It was just like I'm reading the Wikipedia page for what the spirit world is. That's pretty much what it felt like when I was watching the scene. Like the Avatar is the bridge between the two worlds and blah blah blah. Like
it just like this is the information you need to know. We don't have time to actually develop it interestingly in the movie, so we're doing it this way.
Right. I mean, because like, and I get it. They had to kind of crunch for time because the episode that explained, there was a whole episode there that in the show specifically to explain and introduce you to the spirit world. It was like the Winter Solstice Part 1 or whatever, that episode. And they took time to develop it and stuff. And like this movie, that episode is just like not adapted at all. Like that's not even here at all. Which that would have been one of the important ones to do, I think. But I don't know. Because that's also the one where like, well, it was part 2 when he goes to like talk to Avatar Roku for the first time or whatever. That's the one where he like finds out about like Sozin's comet and stuff. So like there was important stuff in there. But they just kind of like nah. Well, instead, when he goes to the spear world, he just talks to some random dragon in the movie too.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I watched the show, but that didn't quite happen that way, did it?
Yeah. Also, the spirit world was interesting looking. Like this was like a random forest with like some sort of light filter put over it.
Yeah, it was just really blue and foggy, and you could barely make out anything anywhere.
And there were like some lights hung up or something. I don't know. And then like he just
then CGI dragon just
talks to a dragon. Yeah. And the drag at the end when he like goes to the spirit world to like figure out like how can I defeat them or what do I do? You know, remember in the show he went and he met Ko the face stealer.
Right.
Remember, that was a really cool scene.
Yeah.
But in here he just kind of like he talks to the dragon yet again. I still don't know who this dragon is.
Yeah, who's the dragon?
Is this supposed to be Roku's dragon? Because remember, Roku had a dragon. Would always flew around on a dragon. I
remember that. Yes.
So is that what it was supposed to be? Because that's the only
I have no idea.
Dragon I remember from the show.
You think these people thought up of anything that would make sense?
That's true. But like he just goes and he's like the dragon's like he's like use the ocean, show them what water bending can really do, and that's like the motivation that makes him go, yeah, I'm ready to take these guys on. And I'm like, wait, you did all this effort to get to the spirit world and everything, and the best thing you got was use water bending. Show them some water bending, dude. There's you're surrounded by water.
Yeah,
freaking use it.
I mean, there was like a hint of crap. There was like a hint of like you need to let go of your anger, Aang. But like, and I think that was the focus in the show, wasn't it?
Not let go of your anger. It's more like accept who you are, kind of, because his thing was he's always running away from the fact that he's the Avatar. He's always like running away and trying to avoid who he really is and stuff. So it's like,
but in the movie, it was just they said the really important big thing very quietly, and then it just emphasized, just use water.
Show them what water bending can do, or it was something like that. Yeah, because like in the show, the big thing he finds out while he's there is like about the moon and the water spirits and how like they can use that to their advantage, and how like, and I think that's what led him to being able to, because in the show he essentially like merges with the water spirit, and that's like how he like fights off the Fire Nation. Do you remember like Aang is like, there's like a giant like the water turns into this like giant thing. It's like this giant water spirit.
I don't remember that. I do. Like I remember
the ocean spirit. Yeah.
It has been way too long since I watched Avatar.
All right. Well, yeah, you definitely need to rewatch if you don't even remember that.
I do.
In this, it's just him doing the water bending. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of like whatever.
He just makes a big wall of water. And all the firebenders like, oh God, we can't handle that.
Also, I don't like how they changed Zhao's death in the movie. So
the guy that was trying to capture him.
Yeah, him, and he's the one who like
tried to kill Zuko.
And he killed the
fish.
The
spirit fish.
The moon spirit. He killed the moon spirit. In the show, the when the water spirit comes out and it's like angry because like the moon spirit was killed or whatever, he's like angry at them.
Yeah.
He freaking grabs Zhao and like pulls him under the water. Like there's a scene where like Zuko's like, here, grab my hand, and he's like, no, and then he doesn't, like, to show that like Zuko, despite how much he hates Zhao, Zuko still has some good in him.
He's a good guy.
And then, but like in here, it's just like 4 random waterbenders come up and take him out, and it's like,
right. It's just
okay.
Like, okay,
cool,
great.
like in the show, it was nice because it was like a nice like like it was like the water spirit getting revenge on him for him killing the
Right.
moon spirit.
It made sense
And
because
Iroh was like, "Don't mess with the spirits," and he was right. Like he got what was coming to him.
this time, no spirit. The spirits don't
Just
do anything
right.
at all.
It's just 4 random waterbenders just come up and kill him, and I'm like, huh? That's how you're gonna kill like the main villain of this movie?
Stupid.
Oh, look! Can we talk about the Fire Lord?
Yeah, he looks nothing like the actual Fire Lord.
He doesn't have to look like him, and that's fine. Like it's different.
True,
but like this is our big bad evil, villain. This is like he's just like the first scene where he's in. He's just walking by talking with Zhao, and it's like. You're like, you don't even really register that he's the Fire Lord at first. You're like, oh, he's just some guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you just like he doesn't feel like the intimidating, fierce Fire Lord that you like expect.
And like he kind of like talks to him and he like convinces him to go through with the evil plan. That's really like all he does in the movie, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and like okay, in the show, you don't really see the Fire Lord at all in season 1.
Well, yeah,
but like you kind of get the hints towards him. Well, except for like when you get the Zuko backstory, you see him like in shadows and stuff,
right?
But you don't really fully see his face, and it's like this interesting mystery kind of behind him. And like every time you see him, he's like in his like throne room, surrounded by flames, and you can't see his face,
But in the
really
movie,
cool.
He's just walking around talking to a guy, and you're like, "Who's this schmuck?"
He's just like, "Yeah, I'm just having this casual conversation with Zhao," and I'm like, "Wow, this is your big intimidating villain." Because like the thing is, they were planning on making a trilogy out of this, right? Each book 2 would have been this next movie, and then book 3, and like this is the guy who's the big main villain of your trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Because like obviously it's one of those things where it's like there's one big main villain, but like you have your smaller villains. Like book 1, Zhao and I guess Zuko are kind of the main antagonists, and then book 2, Azula is like the main antagonist, and then book 3 you finally get the biggest, the main villain. It's like one of those kind of things. But like this is the guy.
Job. They don't build him up at all. It is just. It's like, here you go. Here's the Fire Lord. He's the villain.
He's just walking
just believe
by,
me.
Talking with Zhao. Yep, he's the big bad villain that Aang has to defeat at the end. Yeah, I don't know. It's baffling.
I do also want to talk about the some of the bending moves that they do. I don't know if you've noticed, but one particular one that stood out to me was during the first, like when he's first liberating that first Earthbender camp.
Yes.
There is a group of Earthbenders. There's like over 5 of them, nearly like 10 6. Of them.
Yeah. I remember how many. Yeah.
There's a ton that just walk up and they do this fancy move, and then they finish. And like half a second later, like completely out of sync, a single boulder flies across the screen. It is not in sync. It is not like impressive because there's like all these people doing, and it's just one boulder.
The weird thing about the bending too, that scene is so lame. Like it's multiple guys just to move this one little boulder.
Yeah.
But the one thing that's like weird is like in the show, the bending was really cool to watch because like every like movement that the characters made was like really in sync with the movement of the element.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in this, they're just kind of doing some random dance, and then it's like it's not connected. The movement of the person isn't connected to the movement of the element, so it's just very disconnected and not as interesting to watch.
Yeah, there were so many of the trying to be cool and do a karate move or what have you move, and like it wasn't in sync. It didn't like seem to correlate at all. It just looked awkward.
Yeah, the bending is also just really lame compared to the show. Like, I'm sorry, there are some real badass moments in the show with the bending.
Oh yeah, just, there definitely was, but
like this is just like, and like they changed one thing. which is interesting. So like the firebenders in the movie need fire to be there to bend. Like they can't create fire.
Right.
Which is like a weird change because like I feel like that was part of what made the Fire Nation more intimidating to like the rest of the world is like there's no way you could stop them. You know what I mean? Like
was that not the case in the show?
No. In the show they literally would just kind of like create fire out of, it's like they create it from like their, themselves. They just kind of create it out of the air.
Throw fire from wherever.
Yes. Which I think is, I like that better because it's like more, first off, I think it makes it more like intimidating. Like how do you stop a firebender? You know what I mean? Like waterbender, take them away from water and then they can't bend. Earthbender, take them away from earth and they can't bend. Firebender, I don't know, like it kind of makes them like, it makes the idea that they're like taking over the world a little bit more believable because they're like,
I've also seen things that like Firebender is very obviously the worst because when if you clash any of the two elements, fire's always going to lose because wind will just push it back. Earth is just going to go straight through the fire, and now you're getting pelted with flaming stones. And water, best case scenario, you get hit with hot steam. Worst case scenario, boiling water. Because the fire doesn't have any substance to stop any of it.
Well, right. Water puts fire out. That is true. That is true. Like, if you were talking like a realistic thing, but one reason in the show they give for like why the Fire Nation is so powerful too is like
their machines.
Their machines, yeah. They had like an industrial revolution, whereas like the rest of the world didn't.
I think that's what it was getting at too, was that like they needed the machines because they would lose in most fights. Like that would just straight on.
Depending, that also depends on how powerful the firebender is too.
Of course,
it is interesting. But one of the there's something else I wanted to talk about with this movie. Oh yeah, I don't know if you noticed this, but there are some scenes, like a couple, where the animators, like I guess, forgot to animate bending. So people are like supposed to be practicing bending, but there's no element bending.
Yes, I do. Because that there's one scene where Aang's like trying to learn water bending, and nothing's happening at all. And then they look over to Katara, and it's supposed to be like she's getting the hang of it. She's really improving, but she's not.
There's no water bending at all.
Yeah.
Because you have Katara's like narration going, because she's like narrating the whole movie. You have her going, Aang struggled with picking it up, but I was picking it up right away, and it cuts to her, and it like the camera pans over to her, but she's not even bending. Wow, yeah, she's really picking it up. Like, but that's weird though. They flipped that from the show because in the show, like Aang picked up water bending really easily. Like there's a scene where he's picking up, like Katara's like not horrible at it, but like she's kind of struggling a little bit, and he's like picking it up really easy. Like there's a whole episode about that, but I don't know, whatever. Like, I mean, you can make changes, like you have to make changes when you're adapting a show to a movie, kind of thing. But it's just none of the changes were good, so it's like
it's just you did a terrible job,
right? I also. Back to that earthbending scene. They're kind of trying to adapt the Earthbender prison episode. The episode where they had the Earthbenders in a prison. I don't know if you remember this from the show. It's basically the prison is out on the ocean. Like it's a massive like ship or something out on the ocean, and it's made of metal. So they're like, metal, you have nothing, you have nothing to bend out here. So that's how they kept them imprisoned. Because essentially took away their ability to bend. Their earthbending prison is on top of a bunch of frickin' earth.
Yeah, it's like on a dirt road.
Like, Aang goes, "Come on, people, you got to stand up and fight.
There's
Earth right underneath you." I'm like, yeah, he gets it. What is wrong with you people? But if they were gonna adapt that, like, they could have done the Earth prison thing. They could have done the thing out at sea. Like, I guess that was just too much effort. I don't know. But like, it's just so stupid.
Yeah, I don't know, they made a shortcut that just caused everything to just not make sense anymore.
Yep, pretty much. It's just.
Do we also want to talk about the discordant, awkward acting?
I mean, yeah.
It's like, I just remember it was just very like this is my line, this is my line, and then it just continued like that.
I don't know if you knew this or not, but the actor who played Aang, or Ong, I guess, the actor who played Ong was not an actor.
I mean, it shows.
So he put in like a submission tape to try to do it and showed off he's like a really good at martial arts, right? He's showing off his martial arts skills. Okay, and M. Night Shyamalan goes, "Oh yeah, this kid's great with martial arts." And he looks like Aang close enough and stuff like that. We can definitely, I'm like, but you're not gonna like judge him based on his acting skills like at all? Not even a little bit? Just he can do martial arts. Yeah. I'm like, maybe get him as like the stunt double or something. I don't like, no. Just,
yeah, and just all the lines just ended up being.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe the acting, because it was just like they would say something and then it'd cut to the next close up to the other person's face and they would say something and it didn't seem like it flowed at all. It was just kind of cut and pasted together.
Well, and the dialogue is awkward too, because it's a lot of just, I don't know, that weird like expositional dialogue where it's like we're trying to let the audience know this information, so let's just have a character throw it out there, even if it doesn't make sense for them to say it, type of dialogue.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just the pacing of the movie in general is just so off, though. Like it's just
just terrible.
It's just a constant. This happens. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna say this. Like, if I never watched the show, and I would be like, I was even confused just even though I had watched the show, you know. But like, if I hadn't watched the show, I would be so confused about what was happening. I'd be like, what is even?
There's also the idea that you have watched the show, you know what this story is supposed to be like, but seeing it like this is just awkward. It's like a perversion of it.
Yeah, and like I guess one of the only like positive aspects I can find from the movie is like there is some cool like art design stuff, you know, costume design type stuff. Like there's some cool stuff, like for instance, like Aang's tattoos, like they look different than the show. They're like these weird, but like,
yeah,
for a live action version of that, that's kind of a cool way to do it, I think.
Yeah, it really is. It's because they're not limited by everything needs to look cartoony. So they like put a lot more detail into it, and it's like a lot of these symbols, and it looked really nice.
And I'm like, okay, as that's something where I can be like, oh, that's a change that was good, because it fits with the live action medium more than like the animated medium than it would if they had just done the exact same thing as in the show.
Right.
So it fit well. So I was like, okay, but there are some like little things like that, but then overall it just so also I just want to say, after seeing Appa in this movie, I might have some nightmares.
I know what you mean. There's one that's like a close up of him like roaring at someone, isn't there? And I'm
Yeah.
just like, ugh, what is that?
Well, like, if you notice, he's not in the movie much. You don't see him much in the movie. He just kind of shows
Yeah,
up a few times just to be like, I'm Appa. I'm
yeah.
here
They
because
they
I was in
mention
the
his
show.
name, and then
But,
there wasn't
like,
any.
I think they did that on purpose because they knew how bad the CGI was, and they were like, "Oh yeah, let's not show that very much. Let's just kind
They
of
did they
show
did
it a few
something
times."
similar with Momo. They
Yeah,
didn't mention Momo at all. It was just like, okay, now he's following us around, and he appears every once in a while.
yeah. Like they could have
Nothing.
cut him out of the movie. Yeah, I don't know. It's a. I feel like there was definitely something else I wanted to say about the movie, but I can't remember what it was.
I believe in you. You can do it.
It might have been something about like the acting. Oh no, this is what it was.
Mm.
I still don't understand the casting as far as like race goes. So
I think I go. I think I get what you mean. Yeah.
yeah, so in the show, like I mean it's an American made show, but it's very obviously based on like different cultures, right? Like
Right.
Fire Nation is based on a lot on like Japanese culture. Um, Earth Kingdom's based a lot on Chinese culture. The Water Tribes are based a lot on like Inuit culture. You know, there's very obvious like inspiration.
Right.
But
But
you
the
look
casting doesn't reflect that.
right, the casting is like, you know, all these white kids. But like it's weird too because if you look at the like background characters, the extras, and like the one woman who plays like Sokka and Katara's grandma, they
Mm-hmm.
are like kind of racially accurate casting. Like it is like, oh, they they have like that like Inuit like
It's like
sort of
accurate casting, but only for the side characters. All the
right,
main
but
characters are like just whatever.
it's weird because it's like Sokka, Katara, why do you look nothing like the people of your tribe? Why do
Mm-hmm.
you look like it doesn't even make sense? And it's weird. So they changed the Fire Nation. They seemed to go with more like Indian,
Mm-hmm.
which was like a weird choice, just because like in the show it's very obviously like Japanese, you know, like Asian kind of thing.
And
So it's
then
just weird.
Zuko and God,
Iroh,
Iroh.
or
Which one is the right
Zhao.
pronunciation? The
Well,
the uncle.
in the movie they said Iro, but in the
Iroh.
show it's
Well,
Iroh. Yeah.
Iroh. Okay. The movie has me screwed up with pronunciations. But Zuko and Iroh, uh, they don't look anything like the other Fire Nation people.
I mean, they kind of do. Like they,
Well, Zuko kind of. I don't think Iroh did at
I don't
all.
know. It's just weird, like casting. Honestly, they were probably the best as far as like casting goes in terms of like actual acting ability.
I probably,
Like
yeah.
Zuko, the guy who plays Zuko isn't a bad actor. The guy who plays Zhao and the guy who plays Iroh, like those ones, they were like they're. I mean, the acting isn't great in the movie just because they didn't have good stuff material to work with. But like
Yeah,
their acting isn't bad. You can tell they're like capable actors. But like the main characters, Aang, Katara, and Sokka,
absolutely nothing.
absolutely a no go
Train
on
wreck.
that. And that's the thing. Like they can't even use the excuse, oh, we cast these white kids because they were just perfect for the role, or their acting was just so good for the role.
Because they
Because
weren't.
it's not. So they can't even
It
use
would
that
be a lie.
excuse. So yeah, they can't even use that excuse. But yeah, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen, probably. Like, it's just.
The only redeeming quality is that it had a good story before the movie.
Yeah, but like, it doesn't tell that story well, though. That's the
Yeah,
thing. So it's like, it doesn't even matter that it was based on a good story. It's like.
they were given a great foundation,
Mhm.
and then they just stacked wood planks on top of each other and hoped it didn't fall over.
Yes, exactly. Um, Pretty much. That's a good description. I don't know. I partially wish that they had made the other two movies
Just so we get more.
Just so you could see how much worse it gets, because I do not know how they would be able to condense season 2 into one movie. Like, so much happens in season 2 compared to like season 1. Like, season 1 has a lot of episodes that you could pretty easily skip if you need to, which they do. It's like you can kind of be like reasonably make a movie out of season 1. And make it pace well. I mean, if you did it well.
Seasons 2 is the whole bossing say and all that, right?
Yeah, and that's only in the like second half of the season too. Like,
right.
The first half, there's a lot of other like. There's just so much that goes on in that season, and like so much that'd be hard to cut out. That it's like there's maybe 1 or 2 episodes you could maybe reasonably cut, but like I think it would have been hilarious to see how they would have adapted that movie, just how it would have turned out. Like,
cut out the whole first half of the season.
Right.
Okay, we're at Bossing Say.
Yeah. Like, they'd have to open with them, like, meeting Toph, probably, and then training, and then Toph training Aang, and then skip right to the Bossing Say stuff. Like, skip the library, the desert, all that.
The library.
Skip the whole like Appa goes missing side plot, because that's just take too much time. Like, even though that was like a really big part of the show.
That's one of the things that I always loved. Like, even Appa had a character arc.
Yeah. Although Momo never really did, though.
Yeah, poor Momo. But Momo was perfect from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, Momo's the perfect like pet side character. He's just like really fun to just kind of be there.
I remember they tricked a guy into thinking Momo was an earthbender.
Oh yeah. No, not the lemur, the girl. Earthbending style. Yeah, that's the prison episode, because they're trying to Qatar is trying to get arrested for earthbending. That's funny.
I do kind of want to see how that movie would do Toph learning metal bending, like in the weird cage coffin thing, and she just starts punching the walls.
I would be very interested to see how that movie would do Toph in general. Like,
yeah,
just how badly they messed up the characters in the first one.
They probably would skip over this episode, but the boulder. Remember the boulder? The boulder doesn't know how he feels about fighting a little girl. And
a little blind girl.
I love that moment, because it's just like, oh, is the boulder scared? The boulder has gotten over his conflicted feelings. It's just such a like aggressive, and it shows a lot of character for both of them.
Yeah,
even
Toph,
if it's a very simple
perfect character introduction for Toph.
Yeah,
it's I just think it would have been very interesting to see how they would have adapted, like how much they would have messed up the next 2 movies. But they canceled it because nobody liked the movie.
Yeah,
which
understandable.
Is understandable, very understandable. Do you have any other finishing thoughts on that movie?
I guess not. Everything looked kind of weird. It was awkward. But I don't know. Killed like an hour and a half of my time, so that was something.
10 out of 10 would recommend. Oh, do we want to like try to come up with a movie for 2 weeks from now? I mean, we don't have to do it now. We can come up with it next week too.
I did. Because I got on the my Netflix account to watch it. And I was looking around and I remembered there's a Sonic movie.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I remember I wanted to watch that just because why not? It seemed weird and interesting. So maybe the Sonic movie.
I mean, sure. Do you know how long it is?
Absolutely. I know nothing about it. Absolutely nothing. I remember they created Sonic, posted a picture of it on social media. Everyone hated it. And then they actually hired good people to make the movie. Yeah. So it was a barely avoided train wreck.
Right, right. Like it was not as bad as it could have been.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I chose the last movie, so yeah, sure, we can do that.
You sure? You don't seem hyped about it.
I mean, I'm really not. I don't know. It seems like to me that seems like like I feel like would that be interesting to talk about? Like, was there a lot of interesting things to talk about with it though? Like that's I don't know.
I mean, well, we can talk about like the whole process of, it was gonna be a terrible movie and then it wasn't. And like we can talk about how they
Right.
avoided it being a terrible movie, I guess.
But what if I hate it and I think it's a terrible movie?
I mean,
Then you have something to talk about. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Do you want to watch it or not?
I don't know. Well, how about this? We will come up. Well, let's do this. We'll come up with like a list of like movies next week, right? And
All
then we'll
right.
have like we'll have some sort of like discussion or something on what it is.
Do you want to have the non-existent fans vote on it?
Yeah, yes, non-existent fans. You want to vote on this? No. It would be nice to do like polls at some point, but obviously right now that would not be successful.
We can't do that. No
We
one
can't do
watches
that
this.
now. Yeah. Maybe someday when we get 5 listeners for finally. That's
We just have 5 very devoted listeners, and that's it.
5 people who are like willing to like buy merch and everything, just
That'd be the weirdest fan base. Like everyone knows each other, and there's just
there's but not even like there's 5 dedicated fans. And then there's other people who casually listen. No, literally they're the only people who listen. It gets 5 listens every time.
It's just completely consistent, the same 5 people, and no one else can ever find it.
Yeah, exactly. Because why would you want to find it? That's the real question. I mean,
yeah, we're terrible.
I mean, we kind of are.
This.
Yeah.
Anyone who's listening is kind of like, I don't know, they either already hate us or like, what are you still doing here? Go away, shoo.
Shoo fly, don't bother me.
Shoo.
All right. This is probably a good place to end it. We're at a minute or an hour. Not a minute. We're at a minute. An hour and 8 minutes. So, anyways, thank. Oh gosh, this is when my throat starts getting stuck with crap when I need to talk. All right, so
Come on, say your line.
Thank you for listening to the WABAN podcast. You can listen. I don't know where you're listening to this, whether it's on an audio platform or on YouTube. But yeah, it's available on my YouTube channel, which is Nim TV, Nim TV, youtube.com/c/NimTV. There you go. And then you can also find it on Anchor, which would be anchor.fm/WABAN. That's WABAN. And then all these other audio platforms, if you go there and search WABAN, I'm sure you can find it as well. That being Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, and Spotify. Still don't have it on Apple Podcasts because I'm lazy in trying to do that.
You suck.
I know. I suck at this. I mean, whatever. It's fine. But yeah, so you can listen to it at all of those places, whichever one works best for you. And thank you for listening. If anyone is listening.
They're not.
I have been Nim.
And I'm the goodest boy.
And this is us signing off. Goodbye.